Welcome to Maria Orsic's ritual, and welcome back. I want to give an update, document the space and time that's this recording is happening. It's October 21st, 2023. Remember, recover, return is Maria's mantra, her original theme. Remember who you are. Recover the vril, the power you had before you came here, and return to your home on Venus in a parallel yet physical universe where the earth is completely ruined and destroyed, and there are no human inhabitants on Earth. Millions of years ago, Maria Orsic was the girl who saved the world. She was born to parents who were very shamanic. It's hard to find words in a world of manipulated words. I'll try to define words as I go. Shamanic is the practice of astral projection or leaving your body and living in a energy body, you might call it, a body of imagination, astral body, but the distinction is you are using magical plants to get out of the boundaries of the physical, which actually in our reality is not physical, since we are in a simulation. The reality of that is that it changes the context of everything. In the middle of my initiation, which was led by Maria, but is actually ordained by, actually I don't know exactly who. There's a figure that I met that he never gave me a name. I called him Gandalf or Odin because he looked like that. He literally had a hood on covering his face, and I could not see him clearly, so I would call him Odin or Gandalf, or but he did say, "I am your ancestor." In these talks, I will tell you, I don't want to say who he is right now because I want to explain how it could be him. Okay? And it was this man who Maria would take me to. She would call him Odin too. She would say, I'm going to take you, to Odin tonight. It only happened a few times. It's hard to put in words, and I know that's a stupid, boring thing to say. Yet it's true. Maria, though, I will go ahead and, I was saying in the middle of this initiation, and this part was called War on Yahweh, and it was absolute imperative that I understand that I was living in a technological simulation, or I couldn't, pass the initiation and go to the next part. So, during a ritual, Maria told me, I will give you a dream, and I'll come to you in a dream so that it's a sort of separate witness than just the ritual meditation. So this was the dream, and might I add, this is what Maria Orsic has been doing since World War II. Her art is dancing and whole stories told through dance and music, and Sig writes a lot of the music. That's part of her artistic talent, but another part of it is that she is able to imagine dreams, construct dreams, and transfer them into her students' minds. It's really interesting. And she took credit for all the dreams that led me to the ritual. And it was quite an incredible dream that she gave me. And it was rather long. I will skip to the part of the simulation. Me and her walked along in this dream. And this was 2011, fall of 2011. And in this dream, me and her walked along the Missouri River, and she told me many, many things that I later had to remember. And as we emerged from the woods, there was this house with a very nice wraparound porch, kind of country house. And it was like 5 a.m. or something. The sun was coming up. And from this house was just music, like boom, 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 boom. A party going on. You could hear, people still partying at 5 o'clock in the morning. And me and her walked to the edge of this yard, and she said, this is where we, part, and you have to go in that house, and that's where you're going to learn that you're living in a simulation. And in the dream, I was like, okay, whatever you say. And as I'm walking up to the house, there's like a sort of hippie-looking person. Someone that, even their appearance immediately reminded me of people we grew up with. And as I got closer, the guy yelled out, "Hey, Joe. Hey, Whitehawk." And as I got up closer, I yelled back, "Hey, what's up?" As I got up closer, he hugged me. "Hey, how are you doing?" I'm looking at him like, "I know you. Why can't I remember your name?" "I can't remember exactly who you are." And he was like, "Oh my God, everyone's going to be so happy to see you." And so I go in, there's like 20 or 30 people in this living room talking. And, people turn around, "Oh my God, there's Whitehawk. There's the hawk." And each one of them was the same thing. Like, "Hey, that's, where is it? Man, that is Shane, right? That's this person." And I was in the dream becoming very perplexed, like, do I know these people or not? I don't get it. And they all knew my name. And one dude came in the room. He was like, "Oh, what's up, brother? Sit down, take a bong hit." They handed me a bong. I did a big hit, and when I blew it out, I looked at everybody, and I was like, I don't know if I like these people. Who are these people? They all look so familiar. I was like, that is that person that I grew up with, and yet he looks different. And the perplexity of it all woke me up. In the next ritual, I told Maria, maybe I'm an airhead. Maybe I don't get it. But I didn't get it. The dream, I didn't understand it. And she said, "I'm going to say it to you plainly. You have been living the same life over and over in a simulation of Earth. You are laying down just like Odin had shown me. He had shown me that I was laying in a laboratory and I was just hooked into technology. But it's hard to process and hard to live, you know what I mean? And start to, how do you live knowing that you're in a simulation? Well, it was the first time ever that I had to figure that out. Because obviously everyone in the dream was people I thought I knew for 20, 30, 40 years. And she was showing me they're not real. You don't know the real person. These are just projections of the person's DNA. The only people, and this had been, probably 10 rituals into the initiation, and she had been telling me that the only people that are real in this life to me are are people who were real in my real life on Venus before I came into the simulation. You're not meeting anyone else new here because it's not really them. And the whole time she taught me, she was using my own imagination, creating dreams as the model of the simulation. And like she said, I don't know, and this is her talking, I don't know all the ins and outs of the technology, but the basics are somehow some very smart motherfucker figured out how to connect everyone's imaginations in technology so that we would all imagine life together. And then the technology dictates nature and certain events that have to happen to make the simulation real. And if you understand what I'm saying, you'll understand how I went back to her and said, holy fuck, this is grand, awesome. The simulation is so real. And she said, yeah, that's why it works. That's why it produces results. And it also keeps our enemies who are prisoners in the simulation busy doing the work of being evil and being our enemy. We need that for the simulation to be real and for the experience to have real value back home, where bullshit has basically been eliminated. Just like it's being eliminated right now in 2023 by the internet and the controlling powers, black magicians of the process church, Scientology, etc. They're just controlling just as they would if it was real. Yes, there are people here on Earth in the simulation who are prisoners of the simulation, who have been sentenced by the government on Venus to eternal prison, which isn't so much of a prison but a barrier between us and them, because as we know, you try to lock I hate to use the word spirit, but energy, body, whatever you want to call it, you can't really lock people in prison who are magicians. They fly right out of their body. So, this is the best we could do, was lock them in this simulation, which is like heaven to them. And to their God, Yahweh/Satan equals Aleister Crowley, which equals avatar or vessel of a unknown Aldebaran god, which, as Maria has said to me, the names of none of these people, the actual names, none of them are used in the simulation, because the names are so powerful, it would wake you out of the simulation. It would cause you to kill yourself. You would go completely insane, because the whole world inside and outside of you turns knowingly on these I call them the big gods, who are human, yet very advanced and larger in their physical bodies than we ever were. 10, 15 foot. And, we'll be doing videos on Maria's teachings on history and how the real history and the history of the simulation are a little bit different as far as Aldebaran gods and giants, right? And I'll just make that a separate talk because it's very complicated and detailed, because it's a great secret they don't want you to know about. They only want their people really knowing that there's a reality of very exclusive, powerful beings that really don't want to have nothing to do with us except for a few of them. For the most part, they want to be separate from us. And just very quickly, in the history videos, it's simple outline that there was millions of years of history on Earth, very technologically advanced, and it was centered in America, and went throughout the whole world. And they had a war within themselves. No one really knows much about it, but it was nuclear, and like some of the great deserts and stuff were caused by that. Okay, and they had that whole world, and their fight was the same. It's been reenacting. It's the same thing. They got so mad at each other and hated each other so much. One side wanted to kill everybody and send everyone to the astral plane where they thought they had an advantage, right? So then you come up to Atlantis, say 5-10 million years after the Aldebaran giants, and the same thing reenacted, except Maria actually, in the simulation, not in the original history, in the simulation, she gets to substitute by permission for one of the queens of Atlantis in the latter days, before it was destroyed. And it was destroyed by one side hating the other side so much they brought millions and millions of people to America who were the masses and could be molded against the high standards of Atlantis. And again, it just built to a revolution and a giant fight, and it went nuclear again. And one side tried to send everyone to the astral plane. And again, it repeated again in World War II, and one side was going to try to send everyone to the astral plane, and that's not the side of Germany. Okay? The other side is suicidal. But this time, the Aldebaran gods chose to fight it out through avatars. And a certain Aldebaran god chose a certain 22-year-old girl, woman, but like she said, girl rhymes with world. So, a 22-year-old woman who had been practicing shamanism since she was 12, and she, through her own ritual that she developed herself using Amanita muscaria mainly, she discovered she began communicating with her teacher in Aldebaran. And as we know, she returned one night from a ritual with a notebook full of writing. And she did not even know if she wrote it or Sig wrote it, but her hand hurt and it looked left-handed. And she's left-handed and Siggy's right-handed. So they were like, well, I must have wrote it. What the fuck's it say? They didn't know what it said, but the next ritual they asked the teacher, ancestor god, what it said, and he said it was plans to build a UFO, a space, a vehicle to come see him. And she was like, we thought it was all metaphorical. Because we were the vehicles, we were the UFOs flying through the dimensions. And again, astral travel isn't floating around your neighborhood. That's low level. Astral travel is going to worlds and dimensions that your true self has a plan for you to go to. And, it's just a brief history. As we know, the notebook led to an actual vehicle, which led to her actually going in a vehicle to another dimension and returning in the same vehicle, and then beginning to take other things and other people there. That's the deleted history. That's what I'm here to tell you. And on that, we will conclude this just update and word about remember, recover, return. In the name of Maria, Heil, Maria. Heil, Mama. Heil, the great dancer of dancers. And most of all, for real, thank you to Maria personally for everything she's done for me. But, thank you for giving up your life, basically, to save everyone. Yes. Thank you, Scorpio.